This is the WZRD News. President Biden, whose approval rating has suffered amid high inflation, is beginning to pressure large grocery chains to slash food prices for American consumers, accusing the stores of reaping excess profits and ripping off shoppers. While inflation is moderating, voters are angry about how much they are paying at the grocery store, and that is weighing on Mr. Biden's approval rating ahead of the 2024 election. Food staple prices jumped more than 11% in 2022 and 5% in 2023, amid a post-pandemic inflation surge that was the nation's fastest burst of price increases in 4 decades. The rate of increase is slowing rapidly. In December, prices for food consumed at home were up by just over 1%, according to the Labor Department. The Federal Trade Commission is reviewing and expected to block a merger between two large grocery store chains, Kroger and Albertsons. Too many grocers in America have increased margins in contrast to Kroger, which have reduced margins for nearly 20 years, said Keith Daly, Kroger's Group Vice President of Corporate Affairs and Chief Sustainability Officer. The analysis of quarterly financial reports data from the Census Bureau found that food and beverage stores had increased their margins by about 2 percentage points since the eve of the pandemic, reaching their highest level in 2 decades. Grocery store margins have stayed elevated even as other retailers' margins have fallen back to more normal levels. The White House analysis also implies that increased grocery profit margins do not come close to accounting for the price spikes that grocery shoppers have experienced under Mr. Biden's tenure. Other research suggests consumer demand and supply chain disruptions are a much bigger factor in the price increases. A bout of avian flu caused egg prices to spike in 2023. Food producers, like soft drink manufacturers, have continued to raise prices even as their costs have declined, leading to heady profit margins. Researchers from the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City found in 2023 that strong job growth in the U.S. economy and the wage gains associated with a tight labor market were key contributors to grocery price increases. Processed foods like candy bars account for 3/4 of recent grocery price increases. The tight labor market had resulted in higher costs for producing and distributing processed foods, which have been passed on to consumers. The Agriculture Department has spent hundreds of millions of dollars to help companies expand in the meat-packing industry, which is dominated by a handful of large players. The department also changed its calculations of federal food assistance benefits and adjusted them for inflation, effectively increasing the value of food stamps for many low-income Americans. Those increases have more than outweighed the increased cost of groceries for 40 million families in recent years. Consumers feeling the most pain from high food prices were the ones who earned just enough money not to qualify for the food stamp program known as SNAP. These people in the middle who are low income but not impoverished enough to get SNAP benefits are paying 25% more for groceries. The FTC is considering enforcement actions under a nearly 90-year-old law, the Robinson-Pittman Act, which requires suppliers of retail goods to offer the same terms to every retailer they sell to, helping smaller grocers buy items for the same cost as large retailers. Source: New York Times, February 1st, 2024.